I was very fortunate enough to speak at the conference virtually last year, and had a wonderful time hearing all of the talks about research and things of that nature, because it really helps me as a practitioner and also a teacher. We have a school for personal training at our place. To give you some information on what I do on a daily basis is, we have a personal training gym. We have 3 of them, and so our primary thing that we do, that people come to our gym, is help them lead a healthy and a higher quality life. And when Ann asked me to speak, I thought about, wow, my first encounter with someone with cancer at the ripe age of 21 years old. And this guy was named Doug. And to give you a little bit of prelude to that, at the time, I really had no idea what I was doing. And when this gentleman came to me, I was a little bit intimidated at first. He was a very prominent businessman in the area. He had cancer, and so as a 21-year-old young trainer, still in college, by the way, I'm like, wow, what do I do with this person? Well, we develop a great relationship, and 2 months later, I start to see a little, he diminishes a little bit. But he's very stubborn. He's working very hard. He's bending over, breathing hard. Sweat is coming down. And I say, Doug, we don't have to go so hard. And he looks up at me and he says, Justin, this is what's helping me keep me going. He's like, I don't have the energy to play with my 10 grandkids, go golf with my friends, etc., unless I move. As soon as I stop moving, then I start to decline, mentally and physically. He said, me coming here 3 days a week is what's keeping me going. Fast forward 5 years that we worked together, we both felt that the motion that he did each time really kept him, going throughout those years and hoping to keep the best quality of life that he could. So that was my first encounter with somebody that was suffering from cancer, but wanted to really figure out how they could lead the highest quality of life on their time here. And so, that from there, 20 years later, I've been able to work with many folks, that have similar situations. And what I have seen over time is that, everybody's road or path, whether having cancer or not, is a little bit different. The fitness world is a little bit weird, in my opinion. There's so many different things out there. It's getting better and better because as research comes out, more highly qualified people get into the industry. But I think the biggest message I can send to all of you is that you have to find, what is going to work for you and take the path that is going to work best to give you the highest quality of life. I think that we get this broad stroke of, you should do X to get Y in the fitness world. And unfortunately, the biggest message we hear out there as far as working out is concerned is weight loss, which, in fact, through statistics and anecdotal evidence myself, is probably the worst goal you can have in order to start a workout program. I think that the information I'm going to give you today is really the best reason to, and that's to feel better, to improve cognition, to improve your mood. We'll talk a lot about blood flow, reducing platelet count, things like that. Those are the reasons why, or some of the reasons why, you want to start an exercise program. So when you're hearing me talk today, when you're traveling home, just think about, what's my why? Why do I want to work out? What's the reason I want to try to improve my quality of life through fitness? If I'm thinking about weight loss, well, there's about a 97% chance that you won't be successful. But if it's going to be something as, wow, I need to improve my blood flow. This is going to give me the energy that I need to keep going. So as Ann, came to me and said, and I researched MPN and, blood cancers and all of that, I noticed fatigue came up a lot. And that's when it brought me back to that story about Doug is you would think that, wow, working out is going to increase that fatigue. How can I do this? How can I get the energy to work out if I don't have any already? But you're going to see that moving more actually increases your energy. And so those are the things I want you to think about. So just a few things on exercise regularly. Some might be, very, apparent. You may already know these things, but, these are the things that we preach at our place called State of Fitness is, first we need to make sure some of these things we already have stay healthy, stay strong, stay resilient. Everything from the bone density to muscle mass. A lot of the big research right now in exercise is about the brain. And as I looked up MPN, a lot of the fatigue, brain fog, neurotransmitters not working out as well. The nervous system is stimulated as well. That's some huge stuff right now in the research field. Is if you can move more, whatever it is, it doesn't matter if it's strength training or yoga or whatever it is, the cool things that are coming from that. One thing I like to think about is efficiency. Efficiency and being resilient. Moving keeps your body more resilient to, whether it's disease, whether it's an injury, whether it's a hard day at work. The big thing that, we train mostly adults, just like us right here, and we have obstacles every single day we have to go through, and, getting through that day sometimes is very tough. And those folks that we see on a daily basis or a bi-daily basis is what they tell us is this exercise is giving us the ability to get through our day a little bit more efficiency, a little bit better. And that's where, you see this is just the definition of efficiency. But what I'd like to relate it to you all, especially the patients here, is the efficiency of how your body is, taking, whether it's the drug, the nutrients, the efficiency of what exercise is going to do with all of those modalities that you're using to feel better. And increasing your capacity, the ability, power to do, experience, or understand something. You want to build your bucket, your capacity of fitness and moving as large as you can, because it's going to feed everything else that you do. If I move a lot, it's because most of the time I'd be walking down here right next to you guys. So if you see me moving a little bit when I speak, it's been 2 years since I spoke in front of people. I used to do it every single month, and so my energy is really high. So I'm trying to stand still, because I love coming right to you and get the eye contact, because typically people pay attention better. But one thing I want you to think about is investments, or what is the biggest thing in your life that holds the most value? What is your biggest asset? And when we think about assets and when we think about value, we think, wow, maybe it's our 401k, maybe it's our our home, things that we have that are monetary. But the biggest asset that we have is our human body. That is the biggest thing we can control. It's the most important thing that we'll ever own. And so when you're thinking about your body, you want to think about investments. If I came to you and said, you've got to take all your money and invest it now into X, you'd be like, wow, that's pretty scary. I don't think I can do that. It's the same thing with exercise. The best thing you can do is be consistent and do small things on a daily basis and have that compound effect. Because doing diets or doing something that's going to be very dramatic to your lifestyle isn't going to last. It's just too hard. It doesn't matter how motivated you are, how much time you have. If you go too hard, too much, too fast, it's going to be too hard to sustain. And I know with the MPN patients, that is overwhelming. Doing just exercise in general could be tough. And so if you get your mindset, even if you do things called mini breaks. So mini breaks, write that down. Mini breaks is something I think everybody in this room should do every single day. And as an MPN patient, it's very doable. What that means is, let's just say you're at your desk for, let's say, 60 minutes. Every 60 minutes, take 3 to 5 minutes to do some type of movement. It could be walking. It could be a yoga pose. I have a gentleman right now. He's dealing with some certain comorbidities, and he was going to be on the radio, and he was very stressed out. He said, man, that wall slide, that breathing in that wall slide, just do this. So I want you guys all to do this right here. Just give me this W position. Sit up on the edge of your seat for me, okay? So I want, it's after lunch. I don't want us to fall asleep here. I want you to take a deep breath in your nose. So go like this, and then relax your shoulder blades and pinch those shoulder blades a little bit, and do it again. And then relax. He said he did that 15 times. You can relax now. And he's like, wow, I just started to be relaxed, and my nervous system calmed down, and my neck didn't hurt. That is something you can do. You do 10 of those, and that mini break, compound that over time, you will see a big difference. So it can start that small and make a big impact over time. Support is huge, and that's why my wife and I have our three training gyms. State of Fitness is support. And support is one of the biggest indicators of success in fitness, in movement. Motivation and inspiration and things like that, great words to have. I would like to think all of us are motivated to do something, okay? But we need support, we need guidance, we need help. And we like to say at State of Fitness, friend power, not willpower, is the key to fitness success. A friend, a family member, It could be Zoom, it could be in person, a trainer, whatever it is. Having a great support system is going to be huge. And what better than the MPN network here that we're with today, everybody supporting each other. So it could be this group, it could be your friend next door. Finding someone that's going to support you is huge. And when it comes to exercise, what we've seen over time, and then also IHRSA is a governing body of fitness that we look for studies and surveys and indicators in the industry, things of that nature, is the thing that's going to happen inevitably to everybody is you're going to fail. What that means is you're going to miss a day of working out. You're going to go on a long streak where you do nothing. And that can be very defeating. And we see that time and time again in our industry. Someone will leave for 3 months, they'll feel really bad, they'll apologize for not being at the gym. No problem. It's going to happen. This is a quote I try to think about almost every single day is ever tried, ever failed, no matter, try again, fail better. It's going to be a process. You have to think about the long haul. If there's no 30-day this, 60-day that, it'll crash and burn. It's okay to fail, and you have to tell yourself that when it comes to fitness. And it's a little cut off right here, but that's okay. So really, I'm getting the point across of being consistent. You don't have to look on Instagram or Facebook and see what so-and-so is doing for their exercise program and say, man, I wish I could do that. If I was in high school again, I could do this. Man, I remember when I was in college, I did that. No problem. Take that stuff aside and just think about what can I do that can fit into my lifestyle on a daily basis. It's going to make me feel better, and I can be comfortable with that. So let's get into some exercise stuff. So in the past 5 or 10 years, the high intensity, the HIIT, you see people sweating, breathing hard, and I don't have to really name any names of any gyms because any gym you go to is going to be great as long as you're going to one. But there's been a message out there that said, you've got to go hard, you've got to be really sweaty, you've got to breathe hard. That's the best stuff for fat loss and fitness. Well, science kind of says different. And so as trainers, and what we do at our school is, we have our anecdotal evidence, but we need to look at what science tells us. And I was just talking to a young lady earlier that it's just changed so much in the last 5 or 10 years. And so I took the liberty of looking at, how exercise affects MPN patients or similar patients. And, if you go too hard, it actually can increase your platelet activation, platelet count. And for what I understand, you guys are the experts on this, is we don't necessarily want that. There's some issues, especially if you get 40, 50, 60 years old, the high intensity exercise actually can backfire a little bit. And when you see the 90% plus max heart rate, I do really, really encourage you to have a heart rate monitor when you do work out so you can monitor that. And we do that quite a bit. We have a system called MyZone at our gym. And what happens is you have your heart, and you guys, especially the researchers, know this, it concentrically and eccentrically contracts. And we want both those things to happen. So we can get good stroke volume, good blood flow, increase what's called VO2 max, and I'll talk about that a little bit. That's just efficiency of the oxygen and blood. And what happens when you get that high heart rate, we call it the red zone, it can actually make your heart flutter a little bit. What that means is we don't get that eccentric contraction. All right, so my big takeaway there is if you do get to a level where it's like, wow, I can't catch my breath or I'm going so hard, you need to recover. All right, and for the patients, that's probably not going to be a problem, but sometimes different drugs and things like that can affect your heart, so you need to make sure you talk to your physician with that because there are going to be some contraindications. But the big thing there is don't go too hard, okay? And of course, the bottom, regular physical activity can help with that platelet count. So when we go back with, when we go back to something maybe low intensity, I think that you should alternate patterns of higher intensity, lower intensity exercise. Now let me define high intensity. High intensity is not the same for everybody. You have to think about what is hard for me. What is something that's challenging me? It could be very small, okay? It doesn't have to be huge. But I think that people need to also think about incorporating something that's going to be relaxing. Okay, the spiking the heart rate up or spiking the nervous system up is good because we get adaptations to that. But we need to bring it back down. And so yoga is going to be a great option for MPN patients. In fact, I probably found more studies on this that really helped MPN patients, as this one in Arizona State University, the yoga can improve quality of sleep, fatigue, anxiety, and depression in MPN patients. The stretching is great in yoga, but where the magic is that breath and that meditation and that relaxation. So that's where I would start. I would start with that and walking, okay, just simply walking. And then maybe those, some stretches like I was showing you right there. That's where you want to start. Even before you start doing strength training, which we feel is one of the best things you can do. So move better, get stronger, and maximize performance. Kind of sounds like a tagline that you'd give an athlete, right? If I get this athlete to move better, they get stronger, they maximize performance. That's a general term we use with everybody. And we say maximize performance, it's just the stuff you're doing on a daily basis. It's going to help that. So muscle loss is actually a pretty big thing along with bone density loss. And the only way we can maintain or improve that is through strength training. Now in the beginning, so if someone is just starting a workout program, you say yoga or walking, the body will make an adaptation a little bit. We call it newbie, if you just started exercise. However, after a certain point, it's not enough stress to the body to build or maintain muscle tissue and bone. And that was one reason why Ann came to me. She was very moving all the time, but we wanted to make sure that that was being maintained. And what I found with MPN patients is there's a lot of muscle loss, bone loss, inactivity, because you get fatigued. And so you can do strength training at a very low level that can really help a little bit over a period of time. They've actually found that doing it more frequently, a less dose, meaning let's just say instead of doing 10 sets of strength training, every other day, you can do 1 or 2 exercises of strength training each day, and that compound effect has a better impact on your bone loss and muscle loss. The reason being is because you're recovering better. If you're doing too much, the body won't recover and lay down the tissue and bone. And so recovery is very huge. So we like to think about the minimum effective dose when it comes to strength training, doing just enough to make that adaptation. And one thing that you want to think about is soreness is not an indicator of progress. So we'll get a lot of folks that will post in our Facebook group, wow, that workout was so hard. I'm so sore. This was crazy. Which, is all fun because they're excited and they worked hard and all that. But as trainers, from a science standpoint, it's like, oh, well, that's good, but we don't want you to really feel that way because we need you to get your body recover. And of course, if you have, some type of contraindication, if you have cancer or as you're aging, that recovery gets harder and harder. But one thing I put at the bottom is you will see that strength training will have the biggest impact on your physiology. So for those of you that are looking to look at more research, there's a couple people I get a lot of my research from. There's a guy named Dr. Andy Gaplin, and he's out of Cal State Fullerton, and a guy, Dr. Peter Attia, actually used to be an oncologist at Johns Hopkins and now is more of a functional medicine doctor. And they have found that they've done it with cancer patients, fibromyalgia, and just general population, the biggest impact they've seen from exercise modality standpoint is going to be strength training. So start with walking, yoga, and then you kind of build yourself up to that strength training. And I'm kind of abbreviating some of this here because I could probably stay for 4 hours, but you guys want to go have fun in the sun and, plenty of questions after. Let's talk a little bit more about, cardiovascular exercise, give you a little prescription here. Again, 20, 30 minutes a day in population with blood and heart issues can make a huge impact. Journal of Strength and Conditioning just came out with that. I defined VO2 max just a little bit. What that means is you're being much more efficient with the blood, oxygen, and the heart. You do have to have your heart at a certain degree to make that adaptation, but it doesn't have to be as much as you would think it would. Okay, so there's certain equations I'll let you know that you can do in order to see, what heart rate should I be at that's going to be healthy that I can sustain to make that aerobic capacity increase. And so this is one of many, but the Maffetone method, this is a great method that you can use to figure out what heart rate should I be at on a consistent basis, when I'm exercising. And also we use rating of perceived exertion, so real simple one. And when you're in this range, most people are at like a 5, 6, okay, maybe even a 4 for the intensity level. And again, especially if you're dealing with fatigue, you want to start at that lower level. The neat thing is research shows that just that intensity level is going to be more beneficial anyway, so you don't have to think about going so hard. And I put the abbreviated version of the equation there. 180 minus the age is the very simple one, but there's also other things you can put into the equation. You can go to the website and check it out. Everything from like blood pressure medication, other different factors you can put in that equation. But typically, what you're looking at is anywhere from about 90 beats per minute, 100, 110. I gave an example out in the hallway to a young lady, and I said, if you're walking with a friend, or maybe on a bike or something with your friend or family member, you're able to turn to the person, say a couple sentences, no problem. Maybe you got to stop after a couple sentences, take a breath, and then, go back to it. So again, and that's for a longer period of time, not like 2 or 3 minutes once you build up. And I'm going to go into some interval training. So interval training, most people think of it as, wow, this is going to be really hard. Maybe you're going to a soul cycle class, and they're just, hammering on the bike, and everybody's sweating and breathing hard, and they can't see in front of them. That is interval training, okay? But interval training, again, can mean something different for everybody. Again, finding your intensity. And this is actually probably the most well-studied and documented type of interval training out there. And, they did it where 24 sessions of HIIT, okay, they call it, over 8 weeks, 4 minutes of intense training. This is going to be great for MPN patients because you may not be able to even go 4 minutes sometimes because the fatigue's kicking in. But what you're thinking to yourself is, okay, can I make it for 3 or 4 minutes, walking? And it's really going to get me, tired. That's intense for you, okay? And also, following the heart rate method as well. Then you want to take some recovery. Let some of these enzymes, byproducts, get some of the lactic acid out of the body from your recover, and repeat that. They've actually found that that's going to increase VO2 max, quite better than, if anybody's ever heard of like this, it was really big about 10 years ago, the Tabata study. It was real intense. We tried it with our clients. It just doesn't work. It's too hard. This has been much better for those folks that we have with, whether they have cancer, diabetes in their 70s. So this is a method that we like to use that's going to help increase that VO2 max, help that blood flow, reduce platelet count, and also improve what's called lactate threshold, recovery and clearing of lactic acid. What you want to think of that is that burn you get. You want to try to get that recycled as fast as possible for recovery. Mentioned this earlier in the presentation. If you're going to do anything if you're going to exercise because of anything, I really feel like it's the brain. Everything from mood, everything from reducing depression, letting those opiates release into the brain, improving your nervous system. That's probably the biggest impact you'll make because that's going to help everything else operate a little bit better. Helping reduce fatigue, helping your efficiency when you're moving. And so, you guys have so much. Some of you that are the researchers have so much access to different journals, and if you go into looking at exercise and effects on the brain, it's just amazing with the things that are coming out. So I really encourage you to look into that a little bit more. Hopefully I was able to kind of give you guys just a snapshot of things to think about when it comes to exercise. Big messages, small things done daily. 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minutes. You'll maybe working up to maybe 11 minute. If you just thought about an 8-hour work day and you took 5 minutes, every other hour just to move a little bit, you will be amazed at the impact it'll make on your body and on your mind. Small doses done consistently. I also advise for those folks that are with, that do have, MPN, that you do consult with a professional. I may be a little biased because I'm a trainer, but we have just seen, over 35,000 hours of my own personal training, and then our school of over 350 plus students that, hire a professional increases the chance of success and decreases your chance of getting hurt or doing the wrong things. You guys can reach out to me at any time. I am very blessed to be here, because of Ann. And so my appreciation is you guys have access to me whenever you want for questions. If you ever want me to speak for something, you ever want to go get on a Zoom call, you let me know if there's questions that arise from exercise prescription and the like. My email is justin@mystateoffitness.com, probably the best way to get a hold of me. But if you're on social, you can DM me as well. So I really appreciate the opportunity. I've been loving all the talks here, and I'll be here for the forum, and you guys, just let me know how I can help you. Thank you.